Hey listeners, just a quick note that the first 7 episodes of this series were recorded before the tragic passing of Akira Toriyama. We hope that by sharing our love and passion for what he has created, we can somehow honor his memory.
Yep, you will be missed, Akira. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Nerdy Jock podcast. This is episode 2. We're beginning in the first group of episodes of Dragon Ball Z. I am your host, Kevin Ketchum, aka the Nerdy Jock. I'm here joined by my co-host for this podcast, DK. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to
It's
have
a
you
beautiful day, as you can see.
Yeah.
Behind us, we're in a great spot.
Yep. The island is looking fantastic, and we're going to get deep into that in just a little bit. But before we get started on today's episode, guys, I want to give you a quick breakdown. On Nerdy Jock Media, not only we're going to have this Dragon Ball Z anime podcast, we're going to do other podcasts on different feeds. We're going to talk about different kinds of anime. We're going to have an episode pretty soon. We're going to talk about our top 10 animes probably, or at least some of our top favorites of all besides Dragon Ball. So that way you guys will get a better look into, the kind of anime that we like to watch and the manga we like to read as well.
And the stuff that was just really formative. Because we talked about how we got into Dragon Ball in the 90s, but then anime in the 90s, that's a whole other conversation.
Whole other conversation, tons. So we're going to have a lot more feeds like that too. And also watch on TikTok and social media, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us everywhere because I will be posting tons of content, and so will DK here. Nerdy Jock /media, Nerdy Jock Media. So follow us on all of the social media sites, and listen to us on all the podcast networks, anywhere where you find your podcast, like Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
Amazon Music, Stitcher, Rip.
Yep. No. Anywhere, SoundCloud. No, we're going to get you there. So just keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully we have a lot of great new content to come.
We're going to be exclusively on Stitcher Premium.
Exactly. No free ads, right? No.
Yeah.
All right. So this episode, we're super excited to talk about Dragon Ball Z. We're going to go through episode 1, roughly to episode 15. We're not going to go super heavy into all the details. We'll give you a brief synopsis of the episodes as we go along, but we're just going to kind of keep it casual, keep it fun, and just talk about the first couple episodes of Dragon Ball Z and how it got started. Now, for one quick reference point there, Dan, is can you give us a little background on Dragon Ball before we go into Dragon Ball Z, because that's what we are talking about?
So as a lot of you who are fans may know, and for those who don't know, the manga was continuous. Dragon Ball, the manga, never is called Dragon Ball Z in Japan. It's Dragon Ball from the time we meet Goku to the end of the Buu saga. So in the anime, they called it Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Z. Zeto is how they say it. So using Z to mark the demarcation point from the time that Goku defeats Piccolo at the Tenkaichi Budokai to the time when Goku's brother Raditz shows up at Earth. So just a little bit of background for those of you who don't know, who are interested in hearing without watching it, but I absolutely recommend read the manga, watch the anime, all this stuff. It's a great story. The baddest villain in Dragon Ball was a guy named King Piccolo, or Piccolo Daimao. Right. He was so strong, Master Roshi in his prime couldn't beat him, even when he teamed up with his rival, which is a theme that we're going to come back to later. The Crane Hermit couldn't beat him. They sealed him away in a rice cooker. He was released. He got his youth back from Shenlong, Shenron, Eternal Dragon, whatever your persuasion is. And Goku, and he killed a bunch of Goku's friends, and Goku almost died beating him. He beat him, but he jumped through him single-handedly. Kamehameha punched his way through him. But before Piccolo Daimao died, he spit out his essence into a clone / reincarnation / something, which was originally called Ma Jr., like Demon Jr., and that's the Piccolo that we know, who was way stronger than Piccolo Daimao. And Goku had to train, I think, 3 years to get ready for that fight, and he almost died in that fight too. It's a brutal fight. Goku versus Piccolo. it, I waffle between that and Goku versus Vegeta as my favorite fights in all of
Right.
Dragon Ball. Like the Goku versus Piccolo is an incredible fight, and it is clear by the end of that fight that Piccolo as a threat is not done. He's not done as a threat. I mean, Goku does his typical Goku thing. He gives him a sensu bean, heals him, and everyone's like, Goku, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like he almost like killed you, like whatever. But Goku loves fighting so much. He's like, yeah, let's do this again sometime. And Piccolo's like, yep, someday I'm gonna kill you. Which
Typical-
leads us into Dragon Ball Z.
Typical Goku. Let's heal the enemy and let him try to kill us again.
Right. Just for the fun of it.
Yeah, that was a great little synopsis, and you know, we just literally just touched the surface. So
Yes.
So you should also check out Dragon Ball. Watch all the episodes are on Crunchyroll. I think they're on Hulu as well.
Yeah.
Easily accessible.
Read the manga. It goes much quicker if you want to.
Yeah,
There's,
read the manga a lot quicker. But Dragon Ball is one of my favorites as well. We'll do a separate pod on Dragon Ball in the future. I can't put a time frame on that, but that's something we do want to tackle, and I think we're going to go pretty in depth on that as well.
At the risk of alienating the audience from me as a person with an opinion, I actually enjoy Dragon Ball more than I enjoy Dragon Ball Z.
What?
Yes.
That is crazy. No, I do love Dragon Ball as well. I couldn't say, hey, definitively, I love Dragon Ball more than Dragon Ball Z.
For sure.
But I do think, yeah, it's a great segue actually. I do think it's actually extremely important to have watched Dragon Ball before Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
Now, when we were all got access to Dragon Ball Z for the first time on TV, on Saturday morning cartoons, on the CW or UPN, wherever the Pioneer, that Ocean version was first shown.
Right.
We didn't have Dragon Ball. We really didn't even know who Piccolo was, any of the characters were,
No.
Kami, or Master Roshi, or even Bulma, really. Oolong, Puar, no one.
Yeah.
And
I could touch on that really quick too. So actually, Funimation Ocean tried to do Dragon Ball first. They dubbed the entire Pilaf arc.
And that's I think that's 13 episodes because I had that. I had
those VHS tapes, right?
I had the VHS.
And the first movie, which was the Legend of Shenlong, which was localized as Curse of the Blood Rubies.
Right.
Which was like, that was the first Dragon Ball thing I ever rented after I saw that episode. We talked the last time about Chaozu and Tien dying and stuff like that. I rented Curse of the Blood Rubies, and from there, that I was hooked. I was like, that was the first time seeing the Kamehameha, or Kamehameha, they call it the Kamehameha and that. But I mean, it's just, I was absolutely in. But they took a shot at it. They wanted to do it, and I don't know if it ever aired. That's one thing I don't know. I just know that at some point a decision was made, well, maybe the action-packed version of this is better when Goku is a grown-up and stuff like that. And they abandoned Dragon Ball, sadly, right before Dragon Ball gets good. I mean, if you have opinions about the Pilaf arc, it definitely finally becomes Dragon Ball when Goku starts training with Master Roshi. Right. And we never saw it back in the day. It just went straight to Z. So
right. And Pilaf alone was one of the best. Was a great character. I mean, really funny.
Yeah.
He plays a huge part in Dragon Ball Super again.
They brought him, Mai, and Shu back.
Yeah, they always bring people back. But like, I don't mind the Pilaf because I enjoyed he's pretty funny. It's comical.
Yeah.
His gags are great. It's a good lighthearted moment if it ever gets too serious.
He's very thin-skinned. He has a petty wish, which is a running gag through all of Dragon Ball, where like there are villains with just like really petty wishes, like the general of the Red Ribbon Army just wants to be tall, or something, because he's got a short man complex or something. So yeah, I don't mind it either, but I do feel like once you get to Roshi, that's when Dragon Ball becomes Dragon Ball. Right. It's about training, getting stronger, and then competing against strong people. So,
but that's where we're stopping there. We're going to skip all the way past the Red Ribbon Saga,
right?
The Piccolo Saga, which we talked about as well, and the Tenkaichi Budokai, and go straight into Dragon Ball Z. Now, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown here of episode 1. And we've got to talk a little bit about this situation here before we go too deep. But basically, Dragon Ball Z Episode 1, it's called, the Funimation subtitle was A New Threat. Quick synopsis, basically, it's revealed that Goku and Chi-Chi have a son, Gohan, named after Goku's adopted grandfather, of course. Goku becomes lost in the wild. Gohan, sorry, gets lost in the wild, but he's later rescued by Goku. Now, this is just all brief points, by the way. None of this is like, detail by detail. This is just a synopsis. Then a mysterious alien pod ship lands on Earth and immediately takes his first victim, whoever that is in that. I don't know. Dun, dun, dun.
That poor, oh yeah.
Raditz, yeah, poor farmer. We got to talk about that farmer in a minute here.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Raditz meets Piccolo. And that's basically episode 1 of the show. Now, before we go a little deeper into this, I just want to tell you, the manga does not really have any of this filler episode.
Right.
This is actually, there are some scenes from this in the manga, but basically it's about introduction to Gohan, which is kind of cool. It shows him wandering through the forest. He meets a saber-toothed tiger that takes his hat, kind of a little fun back and forth. He chases after him.
There's some foreshadowing because he seemingly performs an impossible physical feat for his 4-year-old sort of wimpy presentation, and it kind of sets up a little mystery. It's like, oh, does this kid have something special about him that we don't know?
So yeah, he falls off a waterfall, and that's when he, Goku at that point is searching for Gohan. Chi-Chi's obviously a bad mother as well.
They just let their kid run loose in a forest that is populated by dinosaurs and saber-toothed tigers.
Not safe if you're a parent of a 4-year-old toddler. So
no, I have a 4-year-old, and I only let him do that sometimes.
Exactly. That's more for 4.5 to 5, like when Piccolo takes over.
Right.
Early 4, way too dangerous.
Like you raise an interesting question, which has been asked and debated infinitely in the fandom: is Goku a bad father?
Do you guys want to know my take?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. I, for one, think Goku is a terrible father.
Oh,
he's a loving. He has love in his heart, but he does not really care about parenting. Not at all. I mean, you look at Gohan, his first son there, who he loses literally the first episode of the series. So that's a little foreshadowing plot right there. It's like, hey, keep track of your son. Can't do that. Thank God Gohan has special abilities and was able to like fly up and catch a tree branch so he didn't fall off a deadly waterfall. But whatever, not judging you, Goku. And then, he dies later on. As we know, he dies. He wants to go train with King Kai in heaven. Doesn't really want to come back to Earth so quick. Actually, same thing in the Cell Saga. So he has Gohan. And then he has Goten as well. And poor Goten is a toddler, is a young kid when he dies for the second time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's dead when Goten is born.
He's dead when Goten is born, and he could have been revived. And he says, "Nah, I think I'm just going to chill up here and train in heaven."
I forgot about that. Does he actually say that he doesn't want to come back, or can Shenlong not bring him back because he's been brought back too many times? Or does he say like? Does he do it ultra? Is there like? I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the Japanese dub. I remember, I think in the broadcast Funimation dub, they give him like a hero speech, and I don't know if it's 1-to-1 with the Japanese, where he says like, no, all of the things that happen wrong with the world are because people want to fight me. So if I'm dead, nothing bad will happen, or something. So I don't know if that's the thing, but really quick, if I may, I'm gonna make a controversial take here. I'm gonna contradict the fandom and all the memes. I don't think Goku is a terrible father. I'm gonna give you the points why. First, you mentioned that he loses Gohan in the first episode. Chi-Chi is just as much to blame for that as he is. And I feel like that's a reflection actually of Japanese culture, where Japan is so safe. 4-year-olds wander around in the city by themselves and take subways great distances to get to school. Like, they're very self-sufficient. So, I mean, it's like, this is just kind of mapping that onto this fantasy weird world where there are dinosaurs and stuff like that. But in terms of the danger present near their home, which they should be aware of, Chi-Chi's just as much his fault as he is. 2, him dying was to save his son. He went to save Gohan, and the only way to kill Raditz was to hold on to him while Piccolo shot Makanko Sapo at him. And if he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have died. He got the train to King Kai. He didn't not want to come back. He was on a time limit. He's like, I have to train and come back to life in a year. He tells them specifically, like, wait a year to wish me back because I need to get stronger. Otherwise, what's going to happen? The other Saiyans are going to destroy the world. I'm not going to jump too far ahead there. But then the other thing, my last point is that when he finally comes back after the whole, I will concede that him not letting them wish him back to Earth after Namek was a little strange, and also kind of, I didn't know that Shenlong could not grant a wish if the person was unwilling. So Shenlong believes in consent for wishes, I guess. That's what we know there. But after he comes back, he spends 3 quality years with his son training and like getting ready for the androids and living and like eating, and like they have a real good time those 3 years. And then the next time he dies saving the world again. So
that was actually a really touching episode. Well, I can't wait to get into that one. I love the double Kamehameha between Gohan.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's already dead at that point, and Goku.
Such an iconic image.
Yes, iconic image. But
and then replicated in all the movies too. Like I love all the father-son Kamehamehas, even the one where it's like Goku's ghost, Gohan, and Goten fighting Broly in the second Broly movie.
That was fun.
Yeah.
But let's be real. As much as your points were great and valid, let's just be real. Piccolo raised Gohan, and he still raised Gohan in Super.
For 10 months.
He still has, and if you've seen the new Dragon Ball Super superhero film, Piccolo's still like his dad.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, now Gohan actually is a deadbeat dad. Like he's like, I gotta write a research paper, and Gohan is raising Pan. I mean, Piccolo's raising Pan instead of Gohan.
So it seems like maybe it's cyclical that he's a bad father, like Goku.
Piccolo raised Gohan for 10 months in order to fight the Saiyan threat.
But let me tell you this though. I mean, that's when they became attached. But look, Goku loses Gohan. Episode 1, a new threat. Piccolo is there every night watching over Gohan. Over Gohan when he doesn't know he's there. So he gives him apples. He feeds him. He takes care of him. Goku's like, I'm just not here. He's like, good luck. You know, until Piccolo does, like 6 months in, he does say, okay, if you can survive on your own, whatever. He's lying. He's there the whole time. That's what's a cute thing about it. He cares.
No, I don't think it's because he cares. I think it's because he's breeding a cock to fight. He's like, this kid was stronger than Raditz for 3 seconds, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
I need to make sure this kid survives to fight the Saiyans. And stuff like that. I mean, yeah, there is a change. Eventually, he does develop love for Gohan. They do develop a bond that lasts throughout the entire series. But him giving him apples and stuff like that, he's just like, fuck, this kid's going to kill himself unless I literally feed him like a hamster.
Okay.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, tell us what you know.
Because we could argue for an hour about this, but we need to get into the meat of it. Yeah.
But let us know in the comments, is Goku a bad father? Is he a great father? Or somewhere in the middle? We want to know what your opinions are, because you know what ours are. So.
Right. If there's anything we missed, please let us know too. I mean, obviously we only covered a certain portion of it, but yeah.
Obviously, yeah. We'll come back to that. Okay, so first episode. What do you think? What do you remember that's so interesting to you or memorable?
What's memorable about this for me is that the first time I saw it, it was in a combined box, like a golden VHS box called Arrival. That was what it was called when it was dubbed by Ocean and produced by Funimation. It was called Arrival. Do you remember this?
I have that. It's a clamshell.
Yeah.
It was like a clamshell. It was black and then gold around the thing. It was a clamshell.
Where they combined the first 7 episodes into just one like 40-minute mega episode.
Right.
And that was like my biggest memory of this. And then until the DVD releases started coming out and I actually got to see the actual, like this whole thing of Gohan getting lost and the saber-toothed tiger and all this stuff. I mean, this is both a reflection of sort of what you can do strength-wise and the weaknesses of having a year-round production schedule. We're now in an era where anime is coming out in seasons. They very much adopted the Western model. It's like we're going to release 10 at a time, unless you're One Piece. One Piece is following that Dragon Ball model where it's like we need to have a new episode every week, year-round, the year-round release. And you could already feel at the end of Dragon Ball in the anime that they were catching up to the manga a little too quickly. Like there's a bunch of filler arcs where like Chi-Chi and Goku go and like do something with a dinosaur, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Like there's a lot of that stuff. But this episode, I feel like the strengths of it is, like I said, foreshadowing that something is special about Gohan.
Right.
And setting up a good mystery, because we don't know who Raditz is, and he's hell-bent on finding somebody named Kakarot.
Right.
We don't know what Kakarot is. And he's like, who is he? And the first person he runs into is the biggest, baddest dude we've ever seen in Dragon Ball so far. And the first expression we see on his face is sheer terror. When he feels Raditz coming, he's like, oh God. And we've never seen terror on Piccolo's face. You know, Piccolo, like, should be able to kill Goku in Piccolo's mind. So the fact that he is so scared, it's perfect visual storytelling where you're like, oh shit, now I know I'm supposed to be afraid of this guy. And then of course Piccolo attacks him and can't do anything to him.
Nothing. So, it's like he does a energy attack. There's no name to that one. He just does an energy attack, and Reddit says something about like, oh, he's like, you just trying to blow dust in my face, you know, basically. Yeah. So I was like, so that's a cool way to break it in and, you know, get them ready for the next few episodes or for the whole Raditz arc, which is amazing because it's only 6 episodes. Yeah. Which I actually kind of really appreciate is that they didn't really waste too much besides this opening episode until the death of Raditz. It's just boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Let's reintroduce the characters. Let's go have some fun.
Right. They had a 26 episode order and they were going to make sure that they hit everything in those 26 episodes. Right.
So that's basically episode 1.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing else there. Let's go on to episode 2. It's called Reunions. This one is Goku reveals to Bulma, Master Roshi, and Krillin that he has a son. So this is actually when they first go to Kami Island or Kami House on Master Roshi's island for the first time in Dragon Ball Z. It's kind of a cool throwback episode because if you did watch Dragon Ball, you know that Kami House, that island, played a huge part in Goku's early history when he and Krillin were training under Master Roshi. So that's a pretty cool point there. Gohan is revealed he's named after his grandfather, Goku's dad, which is kind of cool.
Which in that clamshell arrival, because we didn't have all of this material in Dragon Ball in the United States in the 90s, that was a huge reveal. It's like I didn't know, like, oh, Goku's grandpa that died in the first episode had a name, and it was Gohan. He named him after that. That was super cool.
Oh, really cool, really cool. And then Raditz reveals that Goku's birth name is Kakarot. That's a cool little factoid right there. And explains his Saiyan heritage and reasons for being on Earth. And Raditz defeats Goku and kidnaps Gohan on the beach. So this episode 2, that was in a nutshell. It's actually quite a huge episode.
Yeah.
Because this actually sets up not only just the Vegeta Saiyan arc, it really kind of sets up who Goku is. The whole history of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z for the future is dependent on this episode. It really opens up the whole thing to, wait, they're a warrior race from outer space.
It sets up Frieza. Yeah. Without setting up Frieza, implying that they're sort of like pirates that wipe out life on planets and then sell planets to rich other aliens and stuff like that. That's the Frieza Force. That's Frieza's entire operation. So this one reveal puts us on a track that we do not get off until the end of the Frieza arc.
Yeah. But even more so, that's a great point. But it goes further just to show that, hey, you know, Goku's actually an alien. You know, we didn't even know that. So now it's like, oh, they're aliens from outer space, and they have
I mean, like in Raditz mentions too, like
explains the tail.
The tail. I mean, because that's always been a mystery. Goku had a tail. Full moon, he turns into an Ozaru and like just wreaks fucking havoc and stuff like that. And Raditz has a tail. And they're like, oh, like this means something. Like now it makes sense because Goku is this freak, and now we get why he's a freak.
Now, back when he, you know, turns into a giant ape in Dragon Ball, and like the first arc at the Pilaf saga, when he does it for the first time, when he gets his tail cut off, actually, it's not really a, you know, at that point he was still based off the Monkey King legend, you know. So this is actually like the hugest retcon possibly in anime. I don't know. You tell me.
Retcon. I mean, they never. Okay, so a lot of elements were borrowed from Journey to the West. The Ox King, Goku's staff, the Nyoibo in Japanese is Sun Wukong, the monkey god, takes a pillar from the palace, from the Jade Palace in heaven, and it turns into a staff that can grow to any size. So it's taken like that. Sun Wukong rides on a cloud, Kintoan or Nimbus, you know, all that stuff. So there are a lot of elements, but I don't feel this is a retcon because I feel like they never provided an explanation for any of that stuff. They always left it open. It's like, well, like, why does he turn into a giant monkey? Like, is he the Monkey King? Like they never even asked that question. I mean, it was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing, like, oh, his name is Son Goku. He turns into a monkey. Ha ha ha. Whatever, whatever. But then having like a sci-fi sort of origin for it, I could see this going wrong in so many contexts when you make this big of a swing, and it didn't. It worked so well here.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I
that's-
mean,
Yeah, that's not like new narrative adjacent. That's like, hey, we're going
yeah,
aliens from outer space, and that kind of actually reminds me a little bit of like the Superman story, classic Superman story.
right.
Child, uh, sent to an alien planet, is found, raised by someone else, and then later on, eventually, family comes to attack you, kind of like in a way, like
The stronger dudes come.
Zod comes
Yeah.
to go after Superman.
Well, that's
you know?
interesting because we talked about in the last episode how the Android arc came out right when Terminator 2 came out, and the influences are, I mean, they're so obvious. I wonder when Dragon Ball Z made the shift, was there anything significant happening with Superman's mythology at that point in the comic books? I'm not a huge Western comic guy. I don't know if there was like a movie or something that Toriyama was like, oh, maybe this. Yeah,
but
maybe.
Either way, that's just a pretty good coincidence, little coincidence there.
It's a big swing though. It's a big swing. This is a martial arts fantasy epic. Now it's a sci-fi fantasy epic.
Yep. And one more note for this episode real quick here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we got to keep rocking and rolling on this one. Is that Raditz defeats Goku in like one punch?
Yeah.
Knocks him down, and Goku's like down and out for the rest of the episode. He's in the water, just can't even get up.
Yeah, he's the first time I think like debilitated.
Yeah.
Except not by like a technique that prevents you from moving or something. Like he literally can't move. Like he's trying his hardest to move and he just can't do it.
So it just shows the strength of Raditz in the first meeting there. So we're gonna jump right ahead to episode 3. Is that cool?
Yeah.
It's called Unlikely Alliance. Now Goku and Piccolo, they team up in order to take down Raditz. Now this is crazy because Piccolo, Goku, sworn enemies, always makes for great plot.
Right.
Goku and Piccolo, they fly off towards Raditz to rescue Gohan. Raditz, who is sick of Gohan's crying, places him inside the space pod to keep him quiet. Boom. Episode 3.
I think we could run through a couple of these and then just talk about them
Let's do that.
Generally. Yeah.
Okay. So episode 4, Piccolo's plan. So Goku and Piccolo begin to attack Raditz. Piccolo fires a special beam cannon at Raditz, which he dodges. Gohan breaks out of the space pod when he gets raged. Speaking of enraged, that's episode 5, Gohan's Rage. So Gohan first reveals his rage boost by dramatically increasing his power level, enough to stagger Raditz, which we do get to see through the what's it called?
The Scouter.
Scouter, yeah. I mean, I just brain
it's
fart
cool.
right
It's
there.
cool. Yeah, when you're talking to an audience, you have a different brain.
Yeah. So also, Raditz warns Goku and Piccolo, the 2 Saiyan warriors who arrived to Earth in 1 year. Really, really cool point there. And Vegeta and Nappa decide to head to Earth to obtain the Dragon Balls. Goku sacrifices himself by locking Raditz in a full Nelson.
With broken ribs.
Yep, with broken ribs. He holds him, which I don't really get, by the way. We'll talk about that in a second. That's kind of a little far-fetched to me. And this allows Piccolo to use his special beam cannon move, or Masenko beam, killing them both. Huge holes through their chest. Done and done. Then we picks right up in episode 6, which is called No Time Like the Present. So Piccolo takes Gohan away to begin his special training, and Goku begins his journey on Snake Way once he's dead.
That's a good spot to talk about all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge moment narratively, especially like if we had the benefit of having Dragon Ball all the way through the end of it in the United States, I think it would have hit even harder. That like if you read the manga and then you read the beginning of the Saiyan Saga, it is a huge deal that Piccolo not only teams up with Goku, but that he is the one that offers the alliance.
Right.
He's like, look, like just being real, like we're gonna get fucking killed if we don't do something, and you and I are the only, like we're the best option. Nobody else can do it.
No one. And the cool thing about that is that Piccolo, that shows growth right out the bat for Piccolo.
Right.
And Piccolo, if you watch, the whole series, like he is one of the ones who does mature and he grows, and he kind of takes that burden of responsibility right there. So it's a huge shift in character from Piccolo last time we saw him. Like, I'm going to kill Goku, take over the world, basically.
Right.
Still one of his plans.
I mean, he was so scared by Raditz's power when he met him that it doesn't, I don't think I forget if it shows this in the anime, it shows in the manga, but he secretly follows Raditz. Like he follows him to the Kame Island stealthily just so he can hear who this guy is, what the deal is, like what the problem is. And so he's just sitting there like, oh shit, there's a race of people that are way stronger than me. I'm not going to be able to do anything. And their plan is to wipe out this planet and sell it to aliens. Like, the only thing you can do is like, okay, I got to team up with the other strong guy.
Right.
And just basically do a suicide attack and hope that we survive.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes down. It's pretty crazy just from, looking at it, because like, number one, they don't have any time to plan their fight. It's very much spur of the moment kind of situation, right?
Right.
It's let's go save Gohan and let's try to defeat this guy who we both know we have a 1% chance, or like less than 1% chance of actually destroying.
Right. But before they even get there, that's when we get that first look at Gohan's power.
Right.
Because Raditz detects that there is somebody even stronger than Piccolo and Goku nearby, and then sees that it's Gohan.
Right.
And it's like, okay, the scouter's broken. This piece of shit isn't working, whatever. But then it's validated by the fact that Piccolo and Goku show up together, and then he realizes like, oh shit, well, if they're here, that means that the kid actually does have this insanely high power level. Right. And it's like, oh, like, what is this gonna be?
Really cool foreshadowing moment for Gohan. And this is actually just to, take a second off of the episode. This is actually great because, they were intentionally, Toriyama, from what I know, is that he was planning on Gohan being the next protagonist for Dragon Ball Z. And so I have read multiple sources. I'm not perfect. I might not have all the answers here correctly, but I do know that Gohan, was going to be pretty much the main protagonist for Dragon Ball Z, pass it on from Goku.
And didn't you say that he moved more towards a physically realistic art style because it was harder to draw the smaller thing?
Right.
So it's funny if that's true that he was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to the small body thing again. But yeah, definitely whatever the motivation sets up a huge narrative through line for Gohan, which eventually gets paid off way the hell further in Cell. Gohan's ultimate arc, I feel like, reaches its climax in Cell. But yeah, right here, we see that Gohan has power, and the first time that Goku and Piccolo attack Raditz, they just get fucked up.
They get smashed, guys.
Piccolo gets his arm blown off. Like, it's like, okay, this is bad. And this is them without their weights on,
right? Which
took forever in the Tenkaichi Budokai for Goku to like take his weights off, I think. But yeah, like they take it off right away, and they're still like, even Raditz is like, you think you're better than me, like even though you took all that weight off. It's like, hell no, let me show you what real power is.
People often overlook Raditz, but the truth is, I love this first 6 episodes because there is no filler. He's like, dude, this is just straight up plot, besides the intro where they have the Gohan scenes.
And the scenes where like Bulma and Krillin and Master Roshi are in a helicopter or something.
Well, that's just that's just like that doesn't really count. But I'm saying, like, as far as like overall plot comparatively with later the Namek, even Namek, and then you go to Cell, of course, and then of course Majin Buu, where it's like filler before any kind of fight happens.
There's so much in Namek, like fake Namek and all that shit.
Or they have to go through more extensive training before they go for it. These are like, hey, we're the strongest people we know here. Gohan, your son's in danger. If we don't do this now, we could all be dead. Yeah. And so that's kind of cool because this is the first and last time you really see that. You know, from the Vegeta fight, Nappa fight, they're training for the Nappa fight.
Right.
Vegeta for Goku, same thing. And then same thing goes for the Frieza saga. They're definitely training, and then it's gonna be all about training the rest of the way. This is the first like, hey, we're just thrown in the ring. We're gonna try to do this. If not, we could die, which 50% of them do.
Right. Raditz is one of my favorite villains in Dragon Ball Z. Like, I think that we have a feeling like we're not supposed to feel that way because Vegeta and Nappa show up and they're like, well, Raditz was a weakling and you couldn't beat him and stuff like that. But everything in its own context, narratively, Raditz is such a scary dude when he shows up.
Yeah.
And absolutely, Goku and Piccolo are no match for him.
Yeah.
It takes Goku literally dying to defeat him. And also Gohan's power awakening. Like, we have that Zenkai moment where Gohan busts out of the shell and like or the little pod and
Okay.
cracks him. Yeah.
So let's talk about that right now, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Raditz, awesome. Like I'm a fan. I think we see him in hell and later on, don't we? Once
Oh, and one of the fillers.
I see one of the filler episodes. I think we do see Raditz. I have to go back and watch those again.
It's like he crushes Goku and Piccolo. He crushes their best attacks. The Kamehameha
Yeah.
doesn't do shit
Nothing.
to him.
Nothing.
I maybe Piccolo's first attack was a Masenko or like just a quick Masenko or something, but nothing they do is good enough. Like they
Right.
can't do anything. Like Piccolo has to charge his new attack, which isn't even finished yet. It takes 5 minutes for him to build up the amount of ki that he needs to do it. And even still, Raditz can dodge it. It
Yes.
has a weakness. Raditz
Yep.
can just sidestep it.
Boom.
He's good. Yeah.
Done. Oh,
Yep.
not
Just
good me.
slip it. It's like,
Not
oh,
good me.
you,
Nope.
you
Oh.
got my armor.
Oh,
Yep.
cool. Armor.
So,
Armor.
Literally,
Little scratch.
I
Good to
mean,
go.
one of the only villains in all of Dragon Ball Z that truly feels hopeless. Hopeless. And this is what we're talking about when we got introduced to the show.
Mhm.
The main character dies in the first. For me, it was like the clamshell. Like it was the first episode. It's like, this is Goku. Oh, I remember him. I remember him from Curse of the Blood Rubies and
Yeah.
the kid. He's an adult now. Oh, cute. He has a son. Oh shit. There's this guy stronger than him. Oh fuck. He's dead.
Dead.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, like the hero of the story. First clamshell, couple episodes, he's done.
Yeah.
And that's a huge shocker. And
I remember it made me tear up. Like I'm such a fucking nerd, but
Yeah.
like it made me tear up the performance of the Ocean dub actor who played Krillin when Goku dies and he like screams his name in agony, and
Yeah.
it's because it's like they don't shy away from it. It's like Goku is dead.
yeah, no, that I was just about to talk literally about what you just mentioned is that when he dies and then Krillin's like looking at Goku, and this is why Dragon Ball is so important, by the way, to watch first, because
Right.
that dramatic tension and that release when Krillin's like, no, Goku, son Goku, and he just dies. And it's
Mhm.
like it's a huge moment if you've seen Dragon Ball and everything they went through as like best friends. It was
Yeah.
a really big moment. I watched it just the other day recently just to catch up again, to do a refresh myself, and
Nice.
that moment still hits pretty hard.
Yeah.
And he disappears and he goes to Kami's lookout, but he has this little smile on his face and he dies. And then it's this really crazy shot. I don't know if you ever remember it. It's a static shot of just like Goku like dead. It was like, wow. It's like a brown and red. It was pretty impactful.
Right. And a lot of people will criticize because there's a problem sort of, I feel like, in modern storytelling where people are very tempted to bring dead people back to life, which takes the stakes away. Like it takes the stakes away. Goku having the ability to come back to life does not take the stakes away here, because we're told that there are two stronger dudes. As Raditz dies, he's like, well, I've been broadcasting. There are
Yeah.
my two companions are way stronger than me, and they're about a year away. They're going to be here in about a year. And so what can you do? I mean, it
Yeah.
really feels like there's no amount of preparation you can do for that level of a threat. And Goku's dead, so it's like, what's he going to be able to do? Well, he has to train again,
Yeah.
which is what Dragon Ball is all about. It's all about growth. It's about getting better, overcoming challenges and stuff like that. So it works perfectly for Dragon Ball. I don't think it's super convenient narratively, because I would argue, and we'll get there when we get there, despite all the training Goku does, he's still not stronger than Vegeta.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely get to Kaioken in a little bit too, but not on this episode today.
Yeah.
So that's like that's it. That's like the first 6 episodes, a really cool short arc. I mean, I consider it still part of the Vegeta saga, the Saiyan
Right.
saga.
Yeah.
But the Funimation, if you look at the Dragon Wiki, by the way, check that out. Shout out to Dragon Wiki. They're a great resource for everything Dragon Ball. I mean, literally everything.
Hmm.
So if you want to check them out because they are a great source for information. If you're curious about the history, the chapters, the manga, the anime, how it relates, the cuts, the Kai, the Funimation, Ocean dubs, everything, they have it. So it's a great site. Definitely check that out if you want to do a little more in-depth research yourself as well.
Hmm.
Now, after this, we get a whole shift. Now we shift to the Gohan life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's the way that the Japanese does it. The Japanese version does it over every English version that preceded. Now we have like uncut. We can see what
Right.
they do and all that stuff. But it's a scary situation, because Piccolo just straight up is like, he's like, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna mince words. Your dad's dead. And then
Right.
Gohan, 4-year-old boy, like, what? And he's like, shut up! I'm gonna kill you if you don't stop
Yeah.
screaming. Like, I'm going to kill you. And then he tells him, like, you're strong, all right? Like, you're stronger than all of us. And Gohan's like, no,
Oh.
I'm not. And then
Let me interrupt real quick here.
yeah,
So this is episode 6. We're basically talking about 6 and 7.
right.
So basically, episode 6. Gohan's still unconscious, basically. So, when Piccolo gets Gohan, I think he's still passed out, and basically wakes up.
Yeah.
And it's like,
He
hey,
just drops him in water.
drops him in water.
Makes him like asphyxiate a little bit and just like, ugh.
So not only we get to see Piccolo talking to Roshi and Krillin and Bulma saying, hey, I'm going to take this kid, but this kid doesn't know who the hell this guy is.
Yeah.
They're this crazy looking green goblin demon guy.
He's only heard about the evil Piccolo.
Right.
Like it's intimated that he's only heard about him and all of that stuff.
So this guy gets kidnapped. This little poor kid, 4-year-old kid, gets kidnapped by Piccolo,
after he just got kidnapped by his uncle.
Yeah, just got kidnapped by his uncle, just got re-kidnapped by Piccolo.
Yeah.
who just actually did kill his father.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So poor Gohan is not in a great spot right here.
He is absolutely, this is a core memory. I mean, I feel like he recovers later in life pretty well despite this, because the way that Piccolo proves to him that he's strong is just like, which is a total just gamble. It's a coin flip. He's like, all right, he picks him up and just throws him at a mountain.
Yes.
Like full force. So if he was wrong, if Gohan had just splatted against the mountain, they would have been fucked.
He's just like,
it's like, whoops.
Like, well, we're gonna use the Dragon Balls for Goku or Gohan.
Maybe
here.
I should have learned how to positively motivate people.
He said, no, we're just gonna throw you against the mountain. Hopefully you released your true potential.
What's more fucked up about that is that when Gohan blasts the mountain apart, Piccolo looks surprised.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's like he didn't even know if it was gonna work.
He did the whole, oh.
Yeah. It's just like, oh shit, that actually worked.
Wow. My God, Gohan's got power.
And then I love, like, for a character thing, it's in the Japanese version. I don't know if I haven't watched the dub of Dragon Ball Z in years, and this wasn't in the ocean dub because this scene was in Arrival. It was in that clamshell thing. But he says, like, I don't know if it was in Arrival. I don't remember, but he says, like, he has like regrets for a second where he's like, this is a dilemma. Like, this kid could be my biggest threat someday. Right. And I'm about to train him to fight. Like, fuck, it's a great dilemma.
It's a good problem to have if you're not really actually, but
it's a great narrative problem to have.
It's a great narrative.
When you're writing, you want to write yourself into corners and dilemmas like this, and then you have to fight your way out of them. Like, because that's the stuff that's going to keep the audience at the edge of their seat.
So yeah, this just to go back on the episodes here. That was episode 6, 6.5, 7. We're gonna shoot right here through. We're just gonna knock out a couple more.
I think 7 is where we'll be starting.
Oh yeah, sorry.
His first day out in the wild.
Oh yeah,
So
before I get into this next little arc here after the death of Goku, Raditz's death as well. Episode 7 through 15 is what we're gonna roughly cover today. We're halfway there, but basically, most of these are filler. There's a couple scenes from these that are in the manga, but there's like 3 or 4 episodes in a row that are literally not even in the manga. That are just filler.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite episodes, and we're going to talk
about
that in just a second.
The best filler, I feel like, in Dragon Ball, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give you a quick breakdown, starting with episode 7 right now. It's called Day 1. So Gohan uses his hidden powers accidentally and ends up stuck on a mountain. Of course, we'll talk about that in a second. Piccolo seemingly leaves Gohan to survive on his own for 6 months before he's willing to start training Gohan himself, which obviously we find out later that he's still there.
Right.
He's taking care. Episode 8. Gohan goes bananas. That's obviously the dub.
Yeah.
Yajirobe.
Because the Japanese titles are always like, surprise! The ultimate reveal of the ape form of Gohan is set, or something. It's like always like some weird like long name.
But you know what though? Just a little side tangent here. I appreciate that Japanese.
No, I love those. I'm not ragging on them. Like for me.
Oh yeah.
For me, like, one of the things that is great about anime is that it is a different way of telling a story than what we grew up with in the West. And every little one of those cultural Japanese nuances, that's just extra icing on that cake for me. Like, I love that.
And then when you get those crazy titles with the crazy, like, oh, it's almost like in a way, it's like a monster movie, you know, Godzilla with the music.
Yeah.
It's very much reminiscent of something you'd see.
The only thing I hate about them, okay, I said I wasn't ragging on them. I will rag on them in this one way. They're full of spoilers often. Episode 2 in Japanese is called like, Goku has a brother? It's like before Raditz even meets Goku. That's the name of the episode.
True.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
I hate that shit so much, but yeah.
But we are going by the Funimation episode titles as well.
Gohan goes bananas.
Yeah, so Yajirobe delivers the news to Krillin. So Yajirobe, we'll talk about him in a little bit here, that the Z fighters have been summoned to Kami's lookout to receive special training from Kami and Mr. Popo. Gohan transforms into a great ape for the first time. Piccolo seemingly destroys the moon. Huge plot point there.
Which is interesting because Toriyama has said he notoriously has the worst memory. And I think I don't remember if the moon ever came back, but Master Roshi destroyed it in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, he destroyed it in Dragon Ball as well. Then leads us right into episode 9, which is called The Strangest Robot. Now, this is a filler episode that's not in the manga. Gohan meets a friendly android named C6. They become friends. Later on, they go through a mild adventure. C6 is destroyed after it sacrificed itself to save Gohan from a pile of rubble from a building collapsing. Episode 10, or not a building, I think it's actually
like
wilderness.
A cave or something?
It's a cave. Episode 10, A New Friend. Another filler episode. We'll talk a little bit more of this one too. This is a really touching episode as well.
Yeah.
Krillin recruits Yamcha to join him on the way to Kami's lookout, which is cool, like getting the gang back together episode. And then, of course, Gohan befriends an injured dinosaur.
Oh, man. This episode as a kid was
brutal.
Devastating.
Brutal.
Yeah. This kid, again, his father is dead. He's been kidnapped twice in a row. He's seemingly been left alone in the wilderness to survive on his own by a guy who wants to kill him, allegedly. And then in the first 2 moments that we see him by himself, he makes a friend with a robot that dies. He makes a friend with a dinosaur that gets eaten.
Super cute dinosaur, too.
Yeah.
I mean, great plushie. He'd make a great plushie.
Yeah, if you like brachiosaurs, it'd make a great. It's got evil eyes too. I love it. Like it kind of has angry eyes. But it was messed up. But it's like such a part of my childhood. Like this all of these fillers. You know?
And Gohan's asleep. He's friends with the Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, and he wakes up and it's just bones.
Well, he gets knocked out, right?
He gets knocked out. Yeah. Then the dinosaur is killed by a carnivorous T-Rex.
Which this is one of the reasons I like this filler is that this carnivorous T-Rex, even in the manga, has like an arc where it's like he's a big threat. Like even in the head Chala opening, he's like chasing Gohan and stuff like that. This is the biggest threat. Like this 4-year-old kid is running from a T-Rex like thing in the wilderness, but then by the end, Gohan is just basically farming it for meat.
Yeah, if you think the Saiyans have a problem with their tails, wait till you see what happens with this T-Rex, because that poor guy loses his tail every episode, which is kind of cool. It's a little like, hey, it's a growth. It's a showing a little plot growth for Gohan, or his maturing into, oh, I'm able to take care of myself. And it's also, hey, getting a little sweet revenge on a T-Rex that killed his buddy.
Totally.
Next episode 11, Trouble on Arlia.
One of my favorite filler episodes ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was a kid, like I love this episode so much.
Yeah, this one is a great episode because it's actually, hey, we're taking a step off of Earth. We're going to go spend some time with Nappa and Vegeta. Going to feel up the big bads. And also the Arlians, which are these insect bug-like creatures.
Right.
So on this episode...
And they like let themselves get captured, like just to have fun. Like they're just like, let's just stretch our legs, you know?
Like let's
the Saiyan space pod is so poorly designed. It's like you're basically like this inside of it and stuff like that. So they're like, God, I need to like stretch out a little bit. Let's just go let these bug people imprison us and then let's just have some fun with them.
Yeah, I mean, we can get on space pods. Like I actually do. They are poorly designed, but I kind of dig those space pods.
No,
I think they're pretty cool looking.
I like them aesthetically, ergonomically. That's what I mean.
I think Apple would probably be making those kind of space pods. If you're like, hey, Apple, make me a spaceship. It's probably gonna look a lot like that space pod.
You know, when my son was born, I wanted so badly to find a Saiyan space pod that he could fit in and put a little tail on him, and take pictures and stuff like that.
Have you seen it on Instagram and YouTube? All these, especially in Latin America, they have like the little 3-year-old birthday parties, and they build these,
No,
space pods.
I haven't seen those.
Oh, it's all. I'll send you some. Yeah,
I thought I had an original idea.
It's a cute idea. So they dress
stealing from the Latin Americans.
They dress their kids as little Gohans with the hat and everything, cute outfit. Put them in a space pod, and they kind of carry the space pod into the birthday party, and they jump out. It's like a big Dragon Ball Z birthday party.
Oh,
all
that's
over.
Sweet.
At least, I mean, in my threads, because I follow on Dragon Ball content, but they have it on, Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. So
I got
really, really pretty cool. But yeah, not original. Damn.
Yeah, not original. Dan is my name.
No,
But
just kidding.
But yeah, this episode, the ocean dub of it was hilarious when I was a kid. There were so many classic lines where like Nappa's like saving a stupid looking cricket thing, and Vegeta's like Nappa, like kind of like chastising him lightly. It was a fun time.
Yeah, I'll never forget the ending of this episode.
Yeah,
like this is like another big one. We thought Gohan had a lot of cool filler episode moments before, which he did, but when Trouble on Arlia, when that couple. Can't remember the name, but it's the pink one.
Oh yeah, it's like
a love story.
The pink one and the one they were in prison with.
Yeah.
The king stole his wife or whatever.
Yeah.
Prima Nocta on Arlia, and
right.
then they're like running towards each other to embrace, and then
at the very end they get he gets out and they meet each other. Oh, my love, or whatever kind of deal, and they run towards each other, and Vegeta's like, nope, boom, and he just blows up the whole planet.
Yeah. Well, this to me too was like one of the things, because it was not lost on me as a kid. That's like, wait, the people that are coming have the ability to blow up a planet.
Yep.
It's like, how are you going to face that threat? So, but it is like, it's very, very funny, dark humor that these two bug people, as they finally reunite, they're just, annihilated with the rest of their species.
And by the way, this whole time, Goku's on Snake Way. Do you want to get into Snake Way a little bit before we get deeper in?
Well, let's because I mean, again, Toriyama borrows a lot from a lot of like Chinese and Japanese like traditional like Buddhist and other themes. Like Journey to the West is a Buddhist story. It's about bringing Buddhism to the West,
right,
and all that stuff. And in some sects of Buddhism, there is you always see like the Buddhist wheel of life, and there's a big monster biting it. That's Enma. And I don't know his significance, if he's like a deity that's supposed to represent hell, which is just like the other world or whatever. But Enma is in Dragon Ball. It's localized as King Yama.
Yep.
And he is like a big dude, but he's only just wearing a horn hat, and he's kind of like just doing busy work.
Right,
he's just like he's like the judge, the ultimate bureaucrat. So that's a funny little like Toriyama touch. It's like take this big Buddhist concept, and Goku gets special permission to keep his body because he's saved the world now twice. And Kami personally goes with him to Enma, and he's like, please let him keep his body. Like, don't send him to either heaven or hell. Like, let him journey across Snake Way to train with King Kai, because he's going to be brought back anyway. I mean, they've got the Dragon Balls. I made them, baby. So, Excuse
me. Yeah, and that's why you also see, and when he's in heaven or hell or limbo, whatever you want to call it, really.
Right.
You'll see all the little floating, the souls, the spirits, little clouds, little clouds, floating clouds.
It was never explained in the Ocean dub because they always wanted to stay away from religious stuff.
Right.
But I always thought it was weird. It's like, how come all the other dead people are just little clouds?
Right.
But Goku is a corporeal form, but they explain in Japanese he gets to keep his body. So,
right. I mean, even so, I think they have some of them wear hats. In an episode here, it says HFIL on the hat, which is
there's a family taking pictures they're on vacation or something. Yeah.
And I mean, so basically it's like hell. I mean, he falls.
Well, it is hell. Yeah. I mean, Home for Infinite Losers.
Yeah, and the Japanese was just in hell, but they changed it to Home for Infinite Losers for the American version because they don't want to see your lead protagonist go to hell in American versions of the show. Which
I know we're not there yet, but one of those two dudes, the two Oni that are in hell, that the blue and the red guy, I forget their names, but one of them is a pun on a Japanese saying. There's a saying, Oni ni kanabo. So Oni is the ogre demon, and then ni is in this case with, and kanabo is a giant like staff weapon with a bunch of like metal balls sticking in it. It's like a very destructive, hurtful weapon. And I believe I was taught that oni ni kanabo means like if you say somebody is like, if you see like a figure skater who like wakes up at 4 a.m. every day and they're on the ice and they're practicing and they're really going for it and they're like going for the Olympics, you would say like oni ni kanabo. Like that's an oni with a kanabo. Like that's how that's how fierce they are, how much of a force they are. It's like this huge thing with this huge weapon. And one of those oni has a kanabo. So fun little.
I did not know that either, actually. So cool little fact there too. Okay, back at it.
Sorry.
No.
Tangents,
that was a great tangent to go down to. It's good to. That's why you're here. We're both here to add on to what we know and make a more fun experience there.
For sure. Oh, Gaz and Mez. I see it right there.
Yeah, Gaz and Mez. That's episode 13.
Yeah.
We were right past. We just ended with episode 11, Trouble in Arlia, and now we're at episode 12, which is Global Training. Another filler episode. It's pretty cool. We can talk a little bit about this. Piccolo continues to train alone in the wasteland. He does. I think this is the episode where he does He splits himself and trains double form. And then
which I don't believe is in the manga.
Yeah. So most of this episode is not even in the manga. I mean, some of it's cool, but most of it is kind of you can kind of skip this. But I do like the scenes where Krillin does go to CTN and Chaozu, and he goes to recruit them to go train with Kami at Kami's Lookout, which is kind of cool.
We didn't even touch when Krillin meets up with Yamcha. Yamcha is a professional baseball player, but he's bored out of his mind because he's like, there's no fighting. A brawl breaks out, and he just kind of jovially runs in and just,
let's go.
Yeah, it's like, oh, finally. And then Krillin finds him there, and he's like, hey, God wants us to come train with him because Kami basically is God.
Mm-hmm.
He's so it's like, God wants us to train with him. Want to come? And it's like, all right,
beats baseball.
Yeah,
on this contract. But okay, so that's where we're at. Krillin recruits them. They go to train. Goku falls off Snake Way, ends up in hell. This is kind of annoying because I do like the next episode. It's fun. It's a cool filler, but the fact that once he does get out of hell, he has to go back to the very beginning. I'm like, bro, you're killing me here, Smalls. But so Goku falls from Snake Way and ends up in hell. He tries taking fruit from a tree, but is knocked unconscious, and that brings us right to episode 13, called Gaz and Mez. It's another filler episode that's not in the manga as well.
Really quick, just because I don't remember, I didn't watch. I feel this far. Does he try to take a peach? Is that what the fruit is?
It looks like an apple peach.
Okay,
thing.
That might be a play on the actual myth of Journey to the West. Is that Sun Wukong steals a peach from heaven, the peach of immortality, and that's one of the reasons that heaven hates him and like wants to destroy him because he steals the peach of immortality. I forget who grows that tree. It's like a famous figure in either Taoism or Buddhism, and so that's kind of a funny little gag that he's in hell. We don't know he's in hell yet, though. It's like maybe he's in heaven. He tries to steal a peach and he gets knocked unconscious.
I don't think they say what kind of fruit it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they're super clear on that. But that's that they do. Gaz and Mez, they just have back and forth. They kind of trick Goku a little bit here and there. Eventually, he breaks out. Gets out of there. Also, in the same episode, Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, Chaozu begin climbing Korin's tower. Kind of cool. A little bit throwback to Dragon Ball, where Goku had to climb Korin's tower. I don't remember how long it took Goku specifically to get there, but it took him a while to climb up that tower. It's a big ass tower. It goes to basically outer space, the edge of the atmosphere, in my opinion, somewhere around there.
Higher than the Red Bull Stratus jump, that's for sure.
And then it cuts back to Goku escaping from hell, those guys, and he jumps out of there, and it turns out he's back at the beginning of Snake Way. And so he's like, oh, got to start running again. But he picks it up. He's like, okay, no time to waste now. Let's go.
Right.
Now, episode 14 is called Princess Snake. Another filler episode. I have mixed feelings about this episode.
It's a classic in terms of just what we had in the West, but it is kind of like if the party is that there's going to be fights with aliens, like this episode is a huge, just kind of like, okay, we're just doing a random little side adventure with this Princess Snake lady. And it's not really clear by the end of it, like what really happened.
Right. She's like seducing Goku.
Yeah.
She's trying to seduce Goku.
Trying to seduce him, but then it kind of is implied that maybe her and all of her like little minion girls aren't real, and that she just is a giant snake. And so like, wait, was it all hallucination? Why was she trying to seduce him? Like, it's very unclear.
All right. Well, let us know if you're watching this on YouTube. Let us know in the comments what you think is actually happening here, because I
Right.
think, I think she just changed. I think she can change forms. I think she just changes shape into the big snake that tries to.
Well, the palace changes into the
Yeah.
snake. Like, it's like you're
Yeah.
you're in my belly already,
That's
but
true.
I'm no longer gonna fuck you. I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah.
It's like it's a little unclear. It's a little unclear. But again, if you were in the 90s and you saw this on syndication, this was like one of the only fucking episodes you got for years. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
it was. It's one that you've seen it many times. Or you've seen it. It's like, yeah, I like it. I'm glad I saw it, but I could probably skip that myself personally.
I mean, eventually I might force my girlfriend to watch
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, and I will probably just show her Kai. I'll be
Yeah.
like, yeah, you don't have to watch this shit.
That might be easier. I mean, some of it's great. Some of the Gohan
Yeah,
stuff from earlier is pretty great too. Okay, I was wrong. I got a correction right here. I said Piccolo starts training in episode 12 against himself. That's not till episode 15, which is actually literally called Dueling Piccolos. So that's where he, it could be a play on words because, it's a musical. Piccolo is also a musical instrument.
Right.
Like dueling banjolos, dueling piccolos. I doubt they even meant that, but it's literally and figuratively, Piccolo splits himself into another form so he can fight himself for training purposes.
You bring up a point that I was wondering when we would be able to touch on it. I guess we could briefly touch on it here. All of the names being puns for things.
Right.
So when we first introduced the King Piccolo, him and his band, they all, no pun intended, they all have instrument names. There's like tambourine, piccolo, etc., etc. All of the Saiyans are named after vegetables.
Vegetables.
Or yeah, like plays on the word vegetable. So like Vegeta or Vegeta. Nappa is a type of cabbage.
Raditz is radish.
Yeah, Kakarot, carrot.
Carrot.
Bulma's whole family are named after like articles of clothing, like Bloomer,
Mr. Trunks,
Dr. Briefs,
Dr. Briefs,
all that stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite though is the Ginyu Force, which is all named after milk products, because in Japanese milk is gyunyu, so Ginyu very close to that. Rikum or Rakum in English is cream kurimu, but backwards or like mixed up. Then there's Gerd, which is like curd or whatever. There's Butta, which I mean his name in Japanese is Butta.
Butta.
But then it becomes Birder. And then Jeese is obviously similar to cheese. Right. So yeah, it's like the milk force.
Yeah, so that's because it's a lot of times it's hard to if you're a writer, you write. It's hard to sometimes think of names for characters and stuff. And
I think he just likes to have fun.
I think he has a good.
Toriyama's kind of a scamp.
I'm not saying he's not like I definitely think he does it for fun,
totally.
It's cool because we are the language barrier is so different from Japanese to English that that these names to all people I didn't really realize it was that kind of they were naming Goku and off vegetables and stuff like that too. Right. Japanese.
In the beginning, you're just like Kakarot's a cool sounding.
That's a pretty cool name. And then you realize every single group of every character, whatever arc, is named after a specific something or a group of things, which is pretty cool.
Which Gohan also is the word for rice or meal, in Japanese. So I don't know what kuririn. That's Krillin's Japanese name. Kuririn. I don't know what that is. I should have looked that up, but
maybe kimchi. I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. I'll have to look that up as well. If you guys know, let us know in the comments below.
Episode 16. This is one of my favorite fillers. I love this one. Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Okay, so episode 16 is called Plight of the Children. This is the big orphan episode. I'll let Dan give you the breakdown because this is near and dear to his heart as well. And
yeah, as a kid, I feel like they made Gohan live an entire lifetime in these fillers preparing for the Saiyans, which also I feel like weakens his position when the Saiyans actually show up, because in the manga he doesn't do a lot of growth. He just gets stronger training with Piccolo, but he as a person does not grow because he doesn't have the life experiences that he has in these fillers, so when he is confronted with conflict, he doesn't know what to do. And we'll get there. We'll get to that point eventually. But in this one, I mean, he meets a group of orphans, kind of joins them because he runs away from where he's training with Piccolo, and he's trying to save them, ostensibly from these malicious and evil adults or something like that. But by the end of the episode, he realizes wait a minute, these adults are trying to help these kids, and these kids might not know what is in their best interest, which is I guess it thematically echoes Piccolo. And so he abandons them, lets them get captured by the adults, and goes right back to Piccolo.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at the very end of that episode, which is really a really touching moment, which is why I love like a lot of fillers. I'm not a fan of. Like later on, when it's just like, hey, I'm gonna power up for 3 episodes.
Right.
That's kind of ridiculous. But I do appreciate the Gohan fillers because a lot of them are nice little life lessons, or showing like courage or bravery, or even showing, hey, that he's growing up and maturing as a character. I mean, just this is episode 16. On episode 6, he was crying, whimpering, toddler. Now he's like growing up and say, oh wow, I have responsibilities now.
Right.
So like at the very end, he's actually back near his house. He looks out, he sees. Yeah. At the very end of this episode, he finally finds his way back to his home mountain, and he sees his house, and he's like, man, I could literally just walk in the door. I got goosebumps. Yeah, just walk in the door and be back home with his mom. But he knows he's got to train if he wants to see his mom and save the world in the future. He's going to have to go back and continue his training.
Fillers. It's a stereotype, and it's often true that fillers usually don't just tell filler stories; they tell bad stories.
Right.
Where it's like the character doesn't experience anything. It could totally be done away with. But I love this idea that Gohan has to make the choice.
Right.
Where it's not like, it's no longer I'm kidnapped, I'm being forced into doing this. I have to save the world.
Right.
And he chooses not to go home, and his mom kind of senses something, walks outside, and he's gone, and he goes right back to Piccolo.
It's right here, right there.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. And just a quick side note on that is that, because, Toriyama was writing the manga concurrently with, some of the animation. They're getting caught up in Japan originally. And so Toei Animation, I was reading about this the other day on the Dragon Wiki. But they had to do, they had to do a lot of these filler stories just to like let the manga, get ahead or catch up.
Yeah, it's always a dilemma. Like, do you tell a filler story, or do you just power up for 3 episodes?
Right.
For me, if you're gonna do a year-round model, I would say tell a filler story.
Right.
Like, it's much better. I would rather see that than see the actual story in agonizing slow motion.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch Kai because that's probably a better version of that. But I can deal with
your girlfriend Kai.
Yeah, I can. I will. I'll see what she thinks. But yeah, I'm gonna force her. I'll bring her to the podcast too. So hopefully she'll.
We should just have a episode where we bring them both on,
and
it's
like,
so what do you think? Well, because I'm sure you did the same thing. I took my girlfriend to see Dragon Ball Superhero.
Right.
She had no context for anything. It was just like, what the fuck is happening? What does any of this mean? So yeah.
I mean, hey, I finally, on a side note, I got my girl watched my favorite anime is Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh yeah.
Overall.
Yeah,
and, I got her to watch that series, and she was like, the first 4 episodes, she was like, I am not about this, and I'm like, just give it time. And then by episode 13, she's like, oh, whoa, this is getting crazy. This shit's getting crazy.
After like the fun like Magma Diver and all that stuff, I'm right there with you. Like that was one thing when we met too, or you revealed to me a couple years later that you consider that like the Stanley Kubrick
it's the
of
Kubrick
anime, and I was like, this guy fucking gets it.
Yeah, it's the best in my opinion. But she loved it. She finished the series. We watched
End of Evangelion,
Death Rebirth. Even
you watched Death and Rebirth too.
I forced her to.
I can't do it.
It's a rehash of both, but it's the same episode. But I don't know. For me, it's a purity thing. And then of course, End of Evangelion, she loved it. And she was like, wow. But long story short, I'm gonna make her watch some Dragon Ball Z, guys. We're gonna bring her in on this pretty soon.
Right.
Eventually.
Kai will be the way to do it.
Yeah, Kai's gonna be the way to do it.
Like in dubbed, so she doesn't have to read. It's the best that they've ever done.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, just give it a try.
She also does like Demon Slayer. She's watched a lot of Demon Slayer with me. Not all of it, but she really enjoys that. Actually, it's one of her favorites. So
I made my girlfriend watch Golden Boy. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh God, I've seen all of Golden Boy. Yeah,
Golden Boy's amazing. Yeah, but not so. I mean, she thought it was funny. She thought it was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. We'll do a podcast about that. We'll do our adult animation, Adult Swim version of
like
anime.
the 18+ only episodes. But yeah,
we'll do that eventually. We got one. You know what? We should. I think we should stop here as far as the episodes with the plight of the children, because it's a great place to start. Because episode 17, it's not filler anymore. It goes back to the manga.
Well, I would argue that episode 17 has the best filler in all of Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
So we could either end on that, or we could start on it next time.
I say, okay, let's do this. Let's do the episode 17.
Okay.
Pendulum Room Peril. Now this is both filler and in the manga as well.
Right.
Okay. So Piccolo finally begins his training with Gohan. This is where everything starts gearing up here, and this is fun. This is actually like if you enjoyed the other ones like I did, it was fun, but it wasn't like, oh, we're back on A plot, not B plot or C plot. We're back on track here. So Piccolo is training Gohan. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Chaozu are transported to Alien City at Kami's lookout, where they are to battle two Saiyans.
Not just battle two Saiyans, they are murdered by two Saiyans,
Right.
like murked by two Saiyans. And I know I feel like I'm being too hyperbolic, like I've gushed about filler, but this is my favorite filler in all of Dragon Ball Z.
This is it.
This is it, because as a kid, you see they've been training with God. It's not
Right.
lost on me that they've been training with God. And I think it starts out where like either Krillin or Yamcha are like, come on, like let us do something real. Like we're just kicking trees and shit. Like
Right.
we're not really doing anything. And Kami is just like, all right, come here, guys. He's like, you're gonna go in this pendulum room. And goes at
Just go over there.
they meet these two Saiyans. They get absolutely murked. They can do nothing to them. They die. And then
Yeah.
they come out having experienced their own death. And then Kami's like, oh yeah, the ones that are coming are 10 times stronger than those guys. Or whatever it is. Like,
Dun, dun, dun.
like the steaks, man. It's so juicy. It's a ribeye. It's so good.
I think that's more of a sirloin, in my opinion. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I prefer the ribeye because they're not dead. They don't really die. So it's like
They don't really die, but they get a taste of what a lesser foe could already do to
True.
them. So it's like, yeah, you guys better like step up your shit.
Yeah, I mean, it sets the table for the dinner that they're gonna have.
Right.
So,
And just in case like we're forgetting, Piccolo is now training Gohan, which means 6 months have passed.
Right.
We're halfway through, and they can't defeat people who are less strong than the people who are coming.
Yeah.
So, ooh man, I
they're gonna have
love
to do
it.
the Cliff Notes of training here if they're gonna get to where they need to be. Which,
Well, honestly, like
spoiler.
this is like we talked about whether Goku or Chi-Chi are bad parents. Is Kami like a bad teacher? Because we never see Goku's training in Dragon Ball that he does, but he gets a lot stronger, sure. And he gets the Bukujitsu,
Right.
which is the ability to fly and stuff. But like for these guys in particular, he does not do shit. He's just like
Yeah.
leaves them alone to do stuff that they would have done otherwise, like wear weighted clothes and punch trees and shit like that.
Yeah.
Did he really make a difference? That's why I think some of the filler makes the actual story later a little bit weaker sometimes. Because
Okay.
if the training is in the gutter, like it's just in our head, like, oh, what kind of training did they go through? They got so much stronger. Like Krillin becomes a badass after the training, like a total badass. So
We haven't even talked. We'll talk about that later. I'm
Yeah.
a huge Krillin fan. Huge Krillin fan.
he
Krillin's
was he was my first favorite character ever. Everyone hates on him.
love Krillin.
But yeah, I mean, like he was the one who survived the
Yeah.
Saiyans, and like
Yeah.
so I was like, dude, I love this guy.
Yeah, Krillin is. Yeah. Spoiler alert, by the way. Evidently, Kami's training isn't that great. 'Cause-
Yeah,
'cause-
that's my position. If you disagree,
let us know.
let me know.
I do like. I love Kami. I like spending time at the lookout. Like that's one of my favorite places to hang out in the world of Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
It's Kami's tower. It's pretty cool. Get some sensu beans.
Right.
It's
The
a great spot.
locales, man, like this beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be on the lookout.
So thanks
next
for
time.
listening
Maybe
to the
we will.
pod.
Yeah.
We'll do it next time. Our backdrop will be
dive
we'll see
even
we'll,
deeper.
We'll
It's
surprise
gonna be
you
a
guys.
great
episode.
Yeah.
We can't wait for you to
What
guys
else
to join
do
us.
I-
And
Well,
also,
we might do
that's a-
before. We
pretty
might
much
diverge
much
from this
it.
a little bit and talk
Yeah.
about other anime that we liked.
Yeah. So
like
we
maybe
might-
do like a mini-sode or something.
we might do another mini-sode where we pop in and we just talk about other animes that are influenced us growing up. Because I can honestly tell you, guys, I know we're on the Dragon Ball Z pod, but I've probably seen 100 series, maybe
Do you keep track? Or are you one of those My Anime List people? That
So
keep
my
track?
brother keeps every anime he's ever bought, and he has, I mean, literally tens of hundreds, like all the Slayers, Wanderers, El Hazard,
Record of Lotus War.
Records Lotus Wars,
Yeah.
Gundam, Evangelion, all of Dragon Ball, all, not really much Sailor Moon, a little bit of Sailor Moon, like the first season I think I've seen, and I really lost interest, but.
Did you not have it when you were a kid?
I had it, but like, they kept showing repeats, like
Yeah.
Dragon Ball a lot, and I was like, well.
It was syndication. For me, it
Right.
was on UPN. Actually, that was the first anime I ever saw.
Yeah.
Because it was the only one that was on after school on UPN. It was Bananas and Pajamas, which was a kid show from Australia, and then it was Sailor Moon. And there was just something interesting about it. It's like I felt like I was going to be made fun of if I told people that I watched it, so I kept it a secret. But there was just something interesting about the art and the way the story was told. It was
like,
yeah.
Who the hell is this tuxedo mask?
Yeah. He can't obviously be the guy who looks exactly like him without the mask on.
I just can't place it, but it's somewhere at the tip of my brain.
Oh God, yeah. Like
Yeah.
It was just that was the
That annoyed the hell out of me.
that and Ronin Warriors were like the first two
Ronin
things.
Warriors, yeah.
Which
well.
and they mirror Power Rangers, which was like maybe the biggest IP America produced when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
Like I mean, which was for people who are, I don't know what the age range of people listening to this are, but they're the Super Sentai shows in Japan. They got localized here in the 90s as Power Rangers, and it was a phenomenon. It was like. Yeah. It was insane. Like it shut down the 101 freeway to Universal Studios in Hollywood just to like have like an onstage like meet and greet and stuff like that. It's
right.
Just crazy stuff. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah. We might do a little mini pod about that. Not even a mini pod. We might do like might have to be like 30 minutes because there's a lot of stuff to get through. So
that's a mini pod compared to this. So.
Yeah, it is. But we're definitely gonna put some stuff in between episodes because we're doing all of Dragon Ball Z at least. So it's gonna be a lot. So we're going to put a lot of episodes in between, give you guys some breathing room, and also we're going to post some really fun videos. We're going to go, like I said, I'm doing training to be Super Saiyan videos, workout videos. We're going to do a little Korean barbecue experience to see how much we can eat, like Goku and Vegeta can.
Yeah.
So we can throw back. So we're going to do that as well.
He's bigger, but I think I can eat more.
Yeah,
so.
I doubt it, honestly. I put money on that. I'll actually put money on that.
All right, we'll put money on that. And then I think we're going to do something special. We're not going to announce it yet, but for Goku Day, May 9th, we're going to do
That's going to be happening too. So.
Yeah.
All right. Either way, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time on the Nerdy Jock Media Dragon Ball Z Megapod. Peace out, guys.